Greetings, Patrick here at Eight Questions With, and welcome to the show. You might be hearing my neighbor across the way. He is an auto mechanic, and he is working on a car. So you might be hearing some tool work behind us, but nothing that we can't handle. Welcome to the show. Uh, um, we're gonna have a good one tonight. We have been working our ass off to make July popping as hard as June did, and I think we did. I think we did a fine job. Hey, Echo. There's Echo from the shark. I'm sorry, the shark side this month. Um, also, I guess you're sort of permanent now for the House of Horrors. Tearing it up last Saturday night with the Polonia Pals. You and Steven talking about the new film, The Stalking, that will be out probably by the end of the year. Um, and we're going to be talking to a young man named Tyler Gallant today. And Tyler is a rising star in every aspect of the word. Um, I've seen him work now in a couple of films, and including Space Wars, the Quest for the Deepstar, and he stole every scene he was in. He, we're going to be talking about his role as Wade in that film because it's pretty amazing. It's a pretty amazing role, and he's a genuinely very nice man, very nice young man. And of course, for all the ladies that might be coming on in, well, you'll get to see that too because he is a very handsome young man at that. He definitely seems to have leading man material ahead of him. So we'll see where that leads. We'll talk to him about it, see what he feels about that. Um, because sometimes actors, sometimes they feel more comfortable in character roles than they do leading roles, and it isn't always just a given that everybody wants to be in front of the camera, the film. Sometimes the best parts are actually character actor parts, and so we'll talk to Tyler about that. Let's see. Let's see. Hi, Sarah. How are you? You'll never guess what I got today from UPS. I'm gonna guess it's a movie. That's just my guess. I could be wrong. Professor, welcome in. Welcome in. Uh, 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 Glad you're here. Glad you're here. It is going to be a fun month in July, and let me tell you about it before we get going. For one thing, I did try to cut back a little bit this month as far as the number of shows go because whew, he got really, really, really busy last month. So I am trying. I am trying. But we do have some really cool guests coming up. And if you guys watched my Dollar Tree haul video, if you guys watched my Dollar Tree video haul, I mentioned something I was gonna do in that video, and I did it. And that's will be coming up in July. So if you have a really sharp ear, you go back and watch the Dollar Tree haul. Hey, Chadwick. Of course, I was expecting you in 2 days, but glad you're here, my friend. We will be talking to Simon Shee, who's going to be starring in Chadwick's feature film debut, Malcolm, which is coming out in October on Tubi, or so a little source told me. So our very own Chadwick is going to be debuting his first feature film on Tubi in October, just in time for the spooktacular. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Um, all right, so here's what we got coming up in July, because I know you guys all want to know what's coming in July, because we got a lot of stuff coming up in July. So today we talked to Tyler Gallant. Tomorrow we are dark. There will be no show tomorrow. I'm not going to be competing against the 4th of July. So there's no show on Tuesday. That's why we're doing Tyler tonight. No show tomorrow night. But Wednesday we will be back with actor Simon Shee, who is starring in Chadwick's film Malcolm, which we just talked about. And he will be here on Wednesday the 5th at 8 p.m. And then we will talk to actress and screenwriter and producer, the very sassy and lovely Melanie Gretchen will be here with us at 8 p.m. on Thursday the 6th. Next Tuesday, the 11th, a week from tomorrow, we welcome an artist Amy Kay will be here with us. Mixed media artist Amy Kay will be with us on the 8th. And rumor has it that she will be doing some work, some painting. On the 12th, we have a doubleheader. That's right, right? Didn't I just say we're going to be cutting back shows? But hold on. So on the 12th, we have the lovely Danny Thompson, who is a UK horror film favorite, UK screen queen, and she'll be here on 2 o'clock on the 12th. And yeah, she's lovely, she's, quite lovely. And hey, Stephen, how are you, sir? How are you? Glad you're here. Of course, that's right. It's the best month because October is the best month because it's Echo's birthday, and also because it's Hobbs Horror's Spooktacular. It can't be Halloween without Hobbs Horror Spooktacular. Um, and then for the nightcap on the 12th, we have actor Mason Greer will be with us 8 o'clock. A nice young actor upcoming, and we'll be talking to Mason Greer on the 12th. On the 13th, we will be talking to Israel Luna, whose film, I watched his film called Ouija Deadly Reunion. Goofy name, by the way, but awesome movie. Awesome movie. So he'll be here with us on the 13th at 8 p.m. He's going to be a very cool guest. I'm really looking forward to talking to Israel Luna. Like I said, his movie is the movie we'll be talking about, and other things and other films too. He likes doing supernatural films, so we'll be talking about Ouija Deadly Reunion on the 13th of July. On the 14th, Friday, the 14th, mark your calendars for this one, or hit the notification. That's one thing too. I'm getting better at this. Hit the notify me button of every single interview that I have upcoming. If you guys don't want to miss, hey, howdy, Desert. All right. Glad. Oh, it's good to see some old friends coming in tonight. Oh, it's Steven. Old Chadwick, man. We're gonna be hyped up when that happens. Yes, Israel Luna is really amazing. He's a fine director, and I really enjoyed his film, and glad that he's gonna be coming on the show to talk about it. So on the 14th of July, we will be having a very we're talking like top of the food chain type of makeup artist. Like, this is the guy who does all the big movies, and that will be Dan Crowley. Will be here with us. Will be here with us on the 14th at 8 o'clock. He just got done completing all the special makeup effects, mask, and wardrobe for Renfield. So he worked on that film. His resume is absolutely off the chain. It's, as far as a crew member goes, as part of the crew member, he's probably the biggest name I've ever gotten to the show. His work is utterly spectacular. And he'll be here with us on Friday, July 14th at 8 p.m. And then we are doing a matinee on Saturday. We will be talking to a podcast. Ryan and Garrett from the Night Watch podcast will be here with us Saturday the 15th at 4 p.m. Yeah, I'm still going to talk about the whole month because the whole month is really cool. So the 18th, the Tuesday 18th, we have Horror with Haas, a fellow horror community member. Some of you guys know who Haas is. He does awesome film reviews. He does Dollar Tree Theater with us. He does great hauls. He's generally just all around nice guy, one of the nicest guys in our community. And he'll be here with us on July 18th at 8 p.m. And you guys all better be here for that. And then the 19th, we'll see the return of a former guest. Our good friend Douglas Epps will be back with us on the 19th. He was our 17th guest. So he has not been here for a while, but he will be here on the 19th, and we will be catching up with him. And if you're not familiar with Douglas, we'll be talking to him about some of his other movies as well. And yes, I will be telling the story about me and Douglas, how we met, and which is one of my fun stories. Really, really cool stories. And he'll be with us here on the 19th. The 20th, I haven't figured it out yet. We're still working on that. Oh, we will get it filled. That's right, Clownado and Bone Hill Road. Okay, and Sarah's saying that she got her very first Arrow video box set today. man, if I could afford that, that's like a video box set from Arrow. That's like me going to the library for a full year, right? For the money on that. Um, let's see, on the 24th, Monday, the 24th of July, we will be welcoming in actress Jessica Dawn Willis will be here with us. She is from the film Silhouette and also The Woman Under the Stage. And she'll be here with us on the 24th. And I believe her husband will probably be joining us as well for that show. Even though I have her listed as her, I have a feeling that it will be a husband and wife interview, which is absolutely positively fine with me. And then on the 26th of July, the show that people insisted that needed to happen, and it is going to happen, Have Cheetah Will View will be hosting Lazy Cheetah on the 26th. And that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. There could be some sparks in that show, too, let me tell you. We'll be talking with Lazy Cheetah. Rumor has it he will also be doing some artwork live while we interview him. On the 27th, the Reverend Horace Sheffield will be with us. I'll give more information about that as we get closer. On the 28th of July, we will see the return of Spooky Kisses. And you guys will be really happy to hear about that. All right, it is time for our guest to get here. And he just walked through the door. So we know what that means. It's time to go get him. All right. Yes, I know. A cheetah interviewing another cheetah. Please welcome Tyler Gallant, and thank you for coming, and let's have some fun, and let's go get him. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you today?
Very, very good. Very, very good. Glad you're here, Tyler.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. This is great.
This is going to be a lot of fun. I have really been enjoying getting to know you and your career since you and I first started talking. I got to say right off the bat that Garrow's movie Space Wars has just been the gift that keeps on giving. I've interviewed you, Garrow, Etienne, Elise, and I think I'm going to probably end up getting Judd Rowan in here, and I was trying to get Rachel, but we'll see.
All right.
And I've already interviewed Sadie Katz.
All
So,
right.
and yes, we have to say this too for the record. But if they bring back Space Force, they have to bring back Elnora to save Elnora, because Sadie was absolutely awesome in that role, as you were. Holy crow! So it seems like most of the people, most of the movies these days, whenever they have a villain, they always want to try to make the villain at the end of the movie sort of turn a little bit of a leaf, right? Like, okay, he's not quite as bad as he makes out to be. We're gonna turn him into like a slight anti-hero. We're gonna give him he's a villain with a heart. Something happened to him, he's gonna come back and he's gonna so that didn't happen for you in Space Wars, did it?
I mean, there was a little bit of it, I guess, where the viewer would have to decide if Wade was as bad as you think Wade is, or if you think maybe there's a little bit of a redeeming quality there. But um, yeah, I thought he had a fun arc. I thought it was fun where um, there was a brief moment there where I
Yeah,
think thought, maybe Wade might not end up being as bad as everyone says he is.
but he was, and it worked so well. Oh my star! Because I was sitting there, I was one of those sitting there going, okay, he's gonna realize, that he's gonna turn his leaf. He's gonna come there. He's gonna help them out, and he's gonna, because you think that Rachel is gonna be the evil witch of the whole of the movie, and then all of a sudden, and then Wade's gonna come in there and you know have a change of heart, but man, he turned out to be the worst of the worst. But but you did such a great job in shielding it. Like you didn't know until the very end that it was going to be like that. You're sitting there going like, oh damn, he did go there. Um, did Garrow talk to you about that? Did he leave that up to you as far in terms of the script goes? Did he leave that up to you how you wanted to play Wade? Did he give you room there to, like, if you wanted to turn a leaf to do a change of heart? Did he give you that option, or was Wade always going to be Wade?
No, I mean, you know, Gatto and the writer Joe Netter, the two of them really gave me a lot of creative leeway as far as how I wanted to build Wade and portray him. And I had met with him a few times prior to going into production on kind of the direction that I had kind of envisioned on going with Wade, and that was if you took Han Solo and you took Snake Plissken and you put them together um, with a villainous twist. That's where we ended up with. That's where we ended
Yeah,
up with.
I was actually thinking Snake Plissken too.
Mhm.
I was thinking, because I was really expecting to turn. I won't lie to you. I was gonna say they're gonna turn. They're gonna turn. They're gonna team up. But when you did the one thing that cemented your villainy, which was shocking, it was like, oh, I didn't see that coming either. It's like, wow, they really went there. It's like, okay, there's no coming back from that.
Yeah.
um, I really did. I was thinking, man, this because you had the same era aura of Snake Plissken. Your character, it did have some of the Snake Plissken elements in it, and that's what made it so effective. That when you did, follow through with it, it was like, damn, all right. Well, he is rough. Um, can you see the chat? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I want to acknowledge the chat here real quick. Everybody's coming in. Thank you so much, so much. If you guys care to share us out, that'll be awesome as well. Susanna D. Tyler is absolutely amazing, the most talented actor. I would have to jump on that boat with you, Susanna. Save me a seat. Stephen Chang. Tyler is truly talented. I loved him in Rootwood. Yeah, we'll be
Oh,
talking
thank
about that.
you. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You got to work with Alyssa Dowling in that movie.
I did. Yeah,
Alyssa's got a heart of gold.
she's
She's
very
amazing.
talented.
I and compassionate.
Mhm.
Um, let's see. Everybody's saying hello. Oh, hey, Mimi. All right. Don't tell him, but yeah, that's our friend Mimi, who's saying that she's got, yeah, because I did say that you were rather handsome, and I think the ladies are agreeing with me there.
Oh, that's
Uh,
very nice of them.
uh, so let's before we get back deep into the career, we got to go back because I only have one preset question, and that is, where were you born and raised at?
I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, actually, and then I lived there until I was 9, and then my family relocated to Scottsdale, Arizona, and then I lived there for a while, and then hockey took me all over the place. I played hockey, and then I ended up after my hockey career was done, I ended up in Los Angeles in 2012, 2013.
You played hockey. What level? Collegiate level?
I played professionally. I played collegiate, um, and then I played high school and a little bit of junior.
Winger, right?
I was a goalie.
Really?
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. I had you being a little bit of a sniper from the point.
Sure.
How'd you like playing goaltender?
I loved it. I mean, it's a tough position. It's a very mental. You got to be tough mentally to be a goalie because at the end of the day, it's kind of however you want to put it. It all kind of the pressure comes back on the goalie because if you make a mistake, everyone remembers it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No one remembers the missed check or
Sure.
or yeah, or fanning on a shot, or or nothing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, did did you ever get injured when you were playing goalie?
I did. That's actually what ended my career. I had a string of groin injuries, all to my right adductor, and it just kept happening. I had it happen three times in almost 2 years, and I just decided I was done, and I went into my first passion, which was acting.
Now, had you been acting all the way up through your, had you balanced sports with your acting as you were as you grew up?
Yeah, I mean, I started acting first. I started acting when I was 7 years old, and I just fell in love with it, and I didn't get into hockey until I was actually 12, and I liked it. Hockey ended up, paying for some of college, and giving me a lot of opportunities. I met a lot of people that I know in the film business actually through hockey. So, um, hockey has been very instrumental in a lot of ways in my career. So it's been good.
Okay, our friend Mimi, who's actually a fine filmmaker from the UK, she
Mhm.
is lighting it up over here today. She is saying hello to you.
Oh,
Let's see. Let me go back
hi
up.
Mimi. And then
Um,
Susanna's awesome as well. Susanna's always so supportive of my movies, and Stephen Chang as well.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Stephen is a powerhouse, uh,
absolutely.
and Mimi has a film that she made called Aliens versus Goths. She also co-hosted with me when we interviewed Yui Bowl, which was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Hey Frosty, how are you? How are you? I see everybody saying Rootwood is a must see with Tyler. Absolutely, I have a copy of that.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you guys.
yes, yes. Let's see. Elisa, say hello. Elise.
Tell Elise hi for
Yeah,
me. Elise is awesome. I saw her last at the signing in Burbank of Space Wars.
yeah. How did you what did you get with the reception for Space Wars? It got really, really, really well received, I thought.
Yeah, people have really enjoyed it, and I think it's because there's really not a lot of these classic space adventure movies. Like what we grew up with. I mean, I
Yeah.
grew up watching, Star Trek and Star Wars and Galaxy Quest and all these different films like that, and they just really don't make them like that anymore. I mean, so I think people that grew up with the classic sci-fi, I think this kind of brings them back to their roots when they watch Space Wars.
Yeah, I did. The one movie that the vibe I got when I was watching it too, which has to be one of my very favorite movies. Actually, it's my favorite Roger Corman movie. He did a movie called Battle Beyond the Stars, and that starred Richard Thomas, and it had an all-star cast, and basically it was Seven Samurais in space,
Oh
but
wow.
it was badass as hell. And to those young men that grew up during 1980,
Hmm.
the Battle Beyond the Stars was awesome for one particular reason, and that was our first appearance of Sybil Danny, who was a legend. So growing up in Arizona, so you're doing hockey, then you realize that it's not gonna unfortunately injuries in your career prematurely,
Hmm.
and you head to LA. Now, was this something that you had planned off on your own, or had you been doing any acting classes or in preparation for your move?
I mean, like I said, I started acting when I was 7. I did my first film when I was 7 years old, and then I did theater. I did theater in university, and then I studied outside of college. I studied with various coaches, and um, I just decided when I moved to LA that since one of my passions was done professionally, that I wanted to focus all my time on my other passion, which was acting, and so I just decided to full time just move out to LA and give it a go.
Uh, how'd you do when you land there? Did it come easy at first, or was it always a struggle? How long did it take you to get representation?
Um, Yeah, I was really fortunate. I moved out there. I knew some actors, I knew some filmmakers already out in LA, and um, I was able to actually get representation almost right away, and I started working immediately. So I was very grateful.
What was the first thing you get to work on?
First thing I got to work on, I did a national commercial. Um,
Wow.
Actually, I did a few of them. I did three in a row. I did one for Honda. Um, I did one for Barbasol. I did one for what was the other one? I did one for Sportmaster, and then there was another one. They were all hockey related, so it was kind of in my element. Um,
Right.
yeah.
They say that national commercials are like it's like a lifeblood to an actor,
Mhm.
because they pay so well, a lot more than an average movie role will pay. And a lot of, if you can get a couple of commercials like that, it can really help an actor, because you always come in there, you always feel like you're on ice skates, right? Or
Sure.
roller skates, because you are, you're always have to hustle. Um, but when you get a national commercial, did it take the pressure off you right away? Like, I got to get something now. I got to get something now. I got to get something now. Did getting a job like that, those commercials, did it take a lot of pressure off you?
Yeah, I mean, commercials are great. Um, you work on that commercial, and then you know, hopefully it gets aired a lot, and hopefully it keeps getting, you know, re-upped. And my Barbasol commercial ran for 3 years in North America, and it was running all the time.
Wow.
So that was good. My Honda commercial that ran during the NHL playoffs. Um, it seemed like every 10 minutes. So like that one was good. Yeah, I mean, I had some good commercials, and then you know, uh, commercials are great, but like I said, it's getting one that runs a lot is kind of the key, and that's most. It seems like most actors that get commercials, you don't always get lucky enough to have them run all the time. So um, I was very fortunate.
I wonder how they decide that, how much to run a commercial, like, a Honda, like, I know they have a certain amount of time because of the calendar year,
Sure.
but I'm wondering for hockey, for the Barbasol commercial or whatnot. I wonder how they decide that. And do they tell you as an actor, what do they tell you that, listen, there's a possibility that you could be on TV for 3 years. Do they let you know that, or is that just purely on the public perception, or the public reaction to the ad?
Um, I mean, really, it's kind of luck of the draw. I mean, like we shoot the commercial once it's shot, and it goes off to the production company, and then it goes to the back to the ad agency, and eventually the client. Then the client is going to decide after they watch it. Do we want to invest on running this? Every every commercial break. Do we want to run it for a year, 2 years, 3 years? So it's just kind of a gamble, and hoping that the client really likes the content that we shot, and decides to run that edit that has has you in it. So
Um, so now, had you been now, did you strictly focus all your attention as far as getting other jobs? Did you focus strictly on feature films or television, or did you do any live theater too to keep your chops sharp while you were looking for roles?
I actually haven't done any. Well, I've done some theater. I've done a little bit of theater training here in LA, but the last actual theater production I did was in Arizona. Um, I did a theater presentation for 8 weeks in Scottsdale at one of the theaters there, and I did the show "The Lonesome West" by Martin McDonough, and we ran that for 8 weeks, and that was amazing. Uh, but I haven't done any like actual like professional shows since then, but it's something I always think about because theater's a lot of fun.
Let's see. I'm gonna see. Okay. There's some questions here. I'm gonna catch up. I am catching up with you, Chad. I didn't forget you, because sometimes I get target fixated, and so So Mimi wants to know what was the hardest role you've ever played, and how did you prepare for it?
Hmm. Hardest role to ever play. That's a good question. Um,
It is because
hmm,
Tyler. I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, me, I still got to see more of your work, but like I said, I mean, that role of Wade. Someone had mentioned earlier that was a complex role. It really was. It really was a complex. You don't see very many. You don't see very many roles like you played all the way through. It seems
oh,
like every movie always has the bad guy for some reason changing the heart at the end. But you played a straight black heart all the way through. That's you just don't see that very often anymore.
thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, Wade. Wade was an interesting character. He was difficult. Um, no, that was also the most physical role I had done from start to finish, as far as physicality of a character. Um, yeah, I would say Wade was pretty difficult. I mean, there was, and in like a film, it's rarely do you ever shoot. Actually, almost never do you ever shoot a film in consecutive order. So we would film various scenes throughout the movie, and for Wade, you had to know, okay, well, this is this part of the film, so this is where Wade is in his character arc. So it's like you have to know where you are um, in his character at this point of the film. um, so because when you watch Wade, there's a big arc in his character from where he starts to where he finishes.
Hmm.
um, so it's finding where he is throughout the film in those different segments. Um, and then the fight sequences were demanding, and Sarah French was phenomenal. Um, her and I did a lot of training for it, and she was great. She's a worker, and
Yeah, your fight scene was off the chain. Very, very well done. You love that physicality. You could definitely see that in your roles, including what we talked about last night when we were getting ready
sure,
for the show. You definitely love the physical aspect of the job.
sure,
The more the better.
sure.
You see yourself more as an action hero type, action movie type than you do. Because I mentioned before you got here, I could see you being a leading man because you got leading man looks.
Oh,
But
thank you.
it seems like the leading. I mean, do you want to be a leading man, or do you or, is it something that you want to do, or would you rather stay a little bit more in the background and play those rich character roles like a Wade? Someone who people, because you can't take your eye off you on screen. When you and Sarah are together, you can't take your eyes off you guys. You're just waiting for that because the tension and the chemistry was so strong.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think that was the fifth movie that Sarah and I have done together. So at that point, Sarah and I mean, it's just one of those things. We have great on-screen chemistry. We've worked together a lot. We've played a lot of different on-screen relationships, character-wise. Um, this was the first one where we had that dynamic, and it was a lot of fun. Sarah's a true professional. She's and for both of us to do such an action heavy role, both of us really loved the genre, so that was a lot of fun. um, but as far as going back to your question, um, you know I saw Susanna mentioned in one of the earlier comments she put. um, she mentioned that she always tells me that I remind her of a younger Johnny Depp, and I always drew inspiration from Johnny Depp because from him, it's kind of how I feel. Um, Johnny can be a leading man, but he can also be a character,
Hmm.
and he can also be a leading character.
Yeah.
So for me, and Gary Oldman's the same way. I feel Tom Hardy is the same way. They can all be characters, but they can also be leading men, and that's honestly the kind of career that I would love to have. Is I can play the leading man, I can play the character, or I can play a blend of the two. Um, and that's, I mean, And if I can have that kind of career, I'd be, obviously be very grateful.
Sort of like another actor we touched upon briefly. Someone like a Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell's very much like that.
Yeah. Kurt can play. He can play your leading man. He can also play a character or a blend of the two. Yeah, that's very true.
Um, Now, how is it? How is it when you because you've done a handful of projects. Um, how is it? You get to star with a co-star. This is like you said. This is Sarah's fifth time working with you, and basically in it's rather short, really. Most of the time you think about that. I played with her 5 roles, and you think about someone acting 60 or 70 films or projects or whatnot, but you've actually not done that much as far as in comparison to starring with her. Um, is that because directors just see you guys together and just like, I just got to have that in my movie? Has anybody ever come up to you and say, I got to have you because you two guys just rock it out so hard?
Well, I mean, for Space Wars, a lot of that was a decision between Gatto and Sarah. Sarah was the first person cast for Space Wars, and Gatto and Sarah were talking about the story, and then they started talking to Joe, who wrote the film, and Gatto and Joe and Sarah were talking about who could be a really great villain, character villain, and Sarah said, Tyler, and she said, she brought up the fact that at that time Sarah and I were also doing a lot of training, like physical training, stunts, and like strength training stuff,
Right.
and so Gatto was just like, well, you guys can probably do stunts together if you and Tyler rehearse, and so that's how it all started, honestly. Um, so those roles, a lot of them were just directors or actor recommendations. They were just like, hey, you gotta hire Tyler, or give Tyler a call, and yeah. So
Is that the ultimate compliment as an actor, in your opinion, when you don't have to audition, and that people ask for you by name? Is that the ultimate compliment for you?
yeah, I mean, as an artist, it's like when you have other artists that um, value your work and like working with you, it means a lot, and I'm always very grateful whenever anyone recommends me or commends my work, or commends working with me. It's something as an artist, you got to be, or as a person in general, you just got to be very grateful for. So
Um, so what was it? Because you share scenes with both Oliver Gounier and Michael Pear. I don't know.
hooray.
Right.
Hmm.
What was it like working with both those gentlemen? I mean, those two they were just Oliver was a fixture in the 80s. I mean, you turn on and who wasn't watching Nemesis? I mean, he's a he's badass. And
Yeah,
Michael Pere, I mean, he's also very strong. What was it like working with both them, Sharon, doing scenes with them?
really great. Both guys are, I mean, obviously, like you said, they've been consummate professionals since the 80s. And I love both their work, and when I got to work with them, it was great. Both of them were not only just consummate professionals, but really good guys, really friendly, um, very professional, just good to work with. um, yeah, just cool. Like we all hung out, in between. We had a holding area that all the talent we'd all hang out in between setups, and because they built the sets. I think somebody had an earlier question. We built the sets for the spacecrafts and all that. We built it at a location in Los Angeles, and they actually did builds and teardowns, right after another. So we'd shoot a scene, and then would be breaking while they were building and setting up the next set.
Wow.
So we would have some time. Would shoot a scene, would wrap that location, and then they would tear down, and we had an amazing team. They built the next set as we were waiting, and so it gave us time, the talent. We would sit around and talk, and just really, really good guys. But everyone on that movie was great. Everyone was really cool. It was a nice atmosphere. Everyone was just great.
Did you, when you were sitting there on the chair when you guys were talking with your co-stars? Do you ever feel? Did you ever just want to jump up and grab a hammer and help those guys build?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I knew it.
yeah, it's I'm just a creative person, on all aspects. So it's like when I'm a team guy. Obviously I played sports, and so when I see those guys and working, and I was like, what, I could probably go in there and swing a hammer.
That's awesome. I knew you would do that. I knew. You know what? Why am I not surprised? I'm just sitting there going, like, I know a lot of people that might have been, well, maybe, but I had a feeling right off the bat, like, if you got a chance to go in there and help that crew, not, build that up, would he do it? Hell yes, he would. Uh, Susanna is asking, who are your artistic inspirations when it comes down to acting? So I guess we could ask, yeah, who's your inspirations?
Um, well, like I'd mentioned, I love Johnny Depp. I love Gary Oldman. I love Cillian Murphy, Tom
Yeah.
Hardy. Um, I like Colin Farrell. Um, let me think. There's a lot of them, but all those guys are kind of. If you look at them and think about them, they're all actors that can play leading man, but can also play characters. And I've always been drawn to that kind of actor where it's not always just about being the leading man. It's the depth of the character. It's the depth of the role. And sometimes, like I look at Gary Oldman. Um, like when you look at that classic film back, I think it was the '90s, True Romance. If you
Yeah.
look at True Romance, one of the characters that everyone remembers was Gary Oldman
Yeah.
as as the pimp, and he's just a side character, but it was such a memorable character and performance that he just lingers with you. He did the same thing in Leon the Professional.
Oh,
Uh,
classic role.
just the little intricacies of his character that he brought to life. You can't help but think about that character as a character villain. He's wonderful.
I was thinking of him as John Smiley in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. That
Sure.
was a really great role. Yes, yes.
Even Dracula. Look at him in Bram
Oh
Stoker's
yeah,
Dracula.
yes, of course, of course. He's bloody brilliant.
He really
Um, let's see. I'm catching up to you guys in the chat here. I promise. Let's see. Steven's watching Rootwood. Tyler, Alyssa, Tiffany Fest, Sarah French, and Felicia Rose. What was it like working with Felicia? I mean, that was actually a true. Who was your first true icon as far as acting that you worked with? Like Felicia Rose as far as in the horror genre, she's like royalty. Uh,
Yeah.
who was the first person you feel that you worked with that had that sort of cachet, and what was it like working with them?
Um, I would say the first actor I worked with that really brought me back to like childhood, viewing memories was when I did a movie called Alpha Wolf. And I was opposite Casper Van Dien, and I
That's a
I mean I still remember going to the theater and watching Starship Troopers, and then I went to the theater and watched Sleepy Hollow, and obviously Casper was opposite Johnny Depp,
right.
so it was cool to see two films that were a big part of my childhood, and then here I am opposite Casper in this feature, and it was a really cool moment.
Yeah, I just got done reviewing one of his movies. He did a movie called Christmas Twister, and I love Casper. I mean, Casper can do no wrong in my book. He was Starship Troopers, one of my top 10 films of all time.
Hmm.
I could do lines from that movie all day.
Sure.
So Casper, and of course he also had Xander there, Patrick Muldoon, He also did. He's also co-starring. Yeah, I saw that Alpha Wolf, and we're like, that looks a hell of a lot of fun. And anytime you get the cast members of Starship Troopers together on anything, it's always a bonus.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm with you. Now, that's funny about Casper. I absolutely, like I said, I love Casper. I watch him everything.
Sure.
That was really strange to me. It's like he did Starship Troopers and then Sleepy Hollow, and then I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. It was just like he was poised to be Johnny Depp level.
Yeah.
He really, and then it didn't. And it was just one of those things in Hollywood. Is that just whims of change? You feel? I mean, do you get that? Do you ever, as an actor, do you ever feel like, well, this week we're looking for a certain type of character this week, then the next week we're looking for this type of character? And
Mhm.
have you ever experienced something like that where, like, you've gone to roles and you don't get them because you're just not the flavor of the week?
Um, I mean, yeah, I think there's some of that. I think when an actor's hot, and they're booking and their names on everybody's tongue. I feel like that momentum definitely does help when there's casting. But some of those actors like a Gary Oldman, someone like that that's just so unbelievably talented and versatile. Um, I think a guy like that, you don't see him in a lot of stuff simply because of, for him, how picky he is. Um,
Yes.
I think a guy like Gary Oldman, it has to be brilliant writing and it has to be a brilliant story um, for him to do it. And you know, I I think I think sometimes it's difficult because there's not those brilliantly written characters and those brilliant scripts. They're not super common um, when those come across, and I think it's just hard. I think it's hard to get one of those scripts and get one of those characters because you have the Johnny Depps of the world and the Tom Hardys and the Gary Oldmans, and you have those guys that are the second a great script comes across, they're the first ones they want a piece of it. Um, so I think that material wise, when you get to that, I think it's just so competitive, and you're
Yeah.
competing with the best of the best. So,
Because Casper is an amazing
oh,
actor.
he is.
He,
He's
he,
amazing.
I have seen him in so many. Every time there's a Casper movie on or coming out, I'm all about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm all about it. I mean, yes. Um, it just
And he's
always
a great guy.
he
Casper's
is.
just a great
He,
guy, and he's such a talent, and he's just a good person, and he's been a good friend of mine ever since we shot that movie, and you know I'm very I'm very blessed to call him a dear friend. So he's just a good dude. That's
yeah,
all
I mean,
I can say.
he's like when I think of a movie star, that's who I think of. I think of Casper Van Dien because he's got that chiseled look, he's got those steely eyes, he's got that grin. You know, a lot of ways, and you had the same thing when I saw you work. I'm going like, oh yeah, I could definitely see him doing all these roles. I could definitely see him doing that.
Oh, thank
Especially after yesterday, I'm thinking, well, like, yeah, that guy, he could carry a movie if he had to. He could definitely put it on his shoulders, and his name could be over the title. You got that skill set. That's definite. And it's very exciting to watch too. There's nothing more exciting than to watch seeing someone just like pop. And I do believe that's going to happen for you too, Tyler,
you.
sooner than later.
Thank you.
Um,
I appreciate that.
yep. Let's see. Susanna asked, did you do a lot of physical training for Space Wars? Yeah, talk to us about some of the training that you and some of the stunts you did. And you had during your fight scene, it looked like you were fighting against a green screen. Was that the case? Where did or was that actually a location and then they CGI'd the kaiju behind you?
That was actually on location. That was all in front of an actual cave, just outside of Las Vegas. So that was all. The cave was all real. Um, there was some. There was some. graphic editing on the cave itself because there was graffiti on it. So I know the digital editors removed the graffiti from the cave wall, um, and then obviously the creature was put in. But yeah, Sarah and I were fighting in front of an actual cave, and we did a lot of physical training, like getting ready physically for that, and then we did stunt training at Wolfpack Studios leading up to the actual filming, and then we did we actually did some choreographing ourselves. I choreographed some of the fight stuff at Wolfpack. I have some experience in fight stunts and some fight choreography, so we put together some scenes and we sent them over to Gatto, and he liked the direction we were going. And then we worked with a stunt team out of Las Vegas who were great, and they helped put the fights together, the multiple fights in Vegas, and then also our big fight. They brought all the crash pads, and they fine tuned our movements, and yeah, they were great. It was a great experience. But Sarah and I, we did all of our stunts. There were no doubles, no stand-ins, nothing. We did everything our own.
No, the camera's on your face the whole fight.
Mhm.
You can definitely tell it was you two.
Sure.
Uh, uh, now, did you have to shoot in the morning in Vegas? Were you shooting all your scenes early in the morning?
Um, yeah, we started early, and then the final fight scene between Sarah and I took 6 hours. Uh,
Mm.
and so by the end of it, I mean, Sarah and I were pretty beaten up. We were tired, but you know what? She's a hard worker. She's a trooper, and we powered through it, and we got what we needed, and I think it turned out great.
All right, let me see if I'm catching up with some of the questions here.
Sure.
Did I catch up? Oh, I think I did catch up. All right. Susanna saying Tyler definitely has the looks and talent. Is the most you are the most focused person she knows. All right. Hi, Snow. How are you? I'm glad you're here. So let's go back to some of the other films that you worked on, because I mean every film is a different story. You have to now, when you first started, out, did you have a genre that you wanted to do more than others, or was it just luck of the draw that you were starting to do a lot of horror films, a lot of thrillers?
I mean, when I started acting as a kid, my first ever movie was a horror film. My cousin was doing it for a film project, and he was in film school at the time, and I was just his little cousin, and he needed a kid in his movie, and I ended up being the lead of the film, and it went really well. I guess his film project did great, and I got hooked on acting from that. But they introduced me to like 80s horror, and that I loved. Like I still to this day love 80s horror. I love everything John Carpenter, um, and I like that stuff. I do like classic horror, but I would say the genres that I love most, like my passions. I grew up on westerns. My dad and I used to watch the classic westerns, and I always wanted to do classic westerns like Eastwood or John Wayne, or even one of my favorites of all time. One of my favorite movies of all time is Tombstone with
Right.
Kurt Russell and obviously Val Kilmer and Michael Biehn and so many other great actors. Um, and that's another actor that I loved growing up. That performance from Val Kilmer in Tombstone was a that was a big inspiration to me as another leading man that can play such a character. Um, was that Doc Holliday role in Tombstone? Um,
Yeah, he's brilliant in that.
he was so good, so talented.
That was him and Kurt Russell both in that film were just outstanding. The chemistry they had as Doc and Wyatt was just
Sure.
it was great. I mean,
Also, Bill Paxton, who's
yeah,
also, rest in peace. Bill Paxton was such a great actor as well. I mean,
great director too. Did you ever see Frailty?
oh, so good. Him and McConaughey were great. Just a great movie.
And Powers Booth was in that, and he was also in Tombstone. Played, yeah, he played the, oh gosh, a Wild Bill,
Yes.
Curly Bill, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that's and you mentioned the classic question. I was going to mention it. Maybe you're a big fan of Richard Boone, you and your dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would hope so, since my channel is named after Richard Boone,
I
right?
love it.
Did you see this?
I
Have Cheetah will view it. That's a nod to Richard Boone's, because the cheetah's name is Paladin, so it's a homage to Have Gun Will Travel,
I love
which,
it. I
which is
actually
mine.
didn't catch that. I'm ashamed of myself right now that I didn't catch it.
That is actually my favorite Western of all time. Have
Yeah.
Gun Will Travel. So I love that show. It was so far ahead of its time. So many great aspects of it. But I love Westerns too. And
Oh,
I've had discussion with some friends about what doing Westerns and whatnot. And I love them. I do. And you're right. There's not enough of them anymore. Um, there's
and not
only
the
one thing.
classic kind, like not like the classic kind of westerns, like Unforgiven or The Outlaw Josie Wales or um, Tombstone, or I mean, the list goes on and on and on. They just don't make them like that anymore.
No. And the one thing they've done, and it feels sort of bad for it too, because it's one of the things they really liked when you're growing up watching westerns,
Mhm.
and now I guess it's not PC, but there's no more cowboy Indian movies.
No,
The cowboys fight the Indians, and then the cavalry comes in at the. There's none of that, and I liked those movies. Those movies are great. Oh my gosh, we got 50 guys left at the fort. We got to hold them off till John Wayne gets here. Those types of movies, and you just don't see them anymore. Now it's always the evil land baron or the evil sheriff, and it's like, why
I
can't we
agree.
have the old? How can't we have the old West again? Because that did happen.
Yeah,
Um, now, but we have our modern Western. We do have modern Westerns. And it seems like series like Sons of Anarchy.
mhm.
It's sort of like a modern day Western. That type of deal. The My MC Mayans. Uh, um, would you want to would you like to do an old Western, or would you rather do a newer one, like a motorcycle gang or a group of guys, like, I don't know, just, yeah,
Yeah. I
like,
mean, I would. I've always I've always loved the the motorcycle club culture. I've always loved that. I would have loved to have been in Sons of Anarchy or Mayans or um, I actually I tried to get in Tom Hardy's new film, the what is it I don't know if the title stayed the same, but it was the bike riders, and it's a new film. They just finished shooting it, but I was trying to get in it. It's a story, Tom Hardy, and I'm trying to remember the other actors that are in it. A lot of great cast, but it's the story of the forming of the motorcycle club, the Outlaws, and it's the forming of the Outlaws back in the '60s in Chicago, and I would have loved to have been in that film. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get in, but um,
probably everybody's submitting everybody.
everybody, it seemed like CIA was getting most of their people in. So I don't know if they had a deal with them, but great cast. I mean, regardless, it's a phenomenal cast. I'm excited to see the film, but definitely that genre, like if it's going to be a new age western, yeah, like a Sons of Anarchy. I don't know if you saw the movie Hell or High Water.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, like I loved that film. I would have loved to have been in that film. I feel Taylor Sheridan is, I believe, a director writer that understands the the kind of formula and writing of a classic western, but he's able to formulate it in a modern sense. Um, yeah,
I tell you one thing. I tell you somebody who blows me away when I watch that. When I see Yellowstone.
hmm
Everybody mentions Kevin Costner, man, but you know what? Honestly, that heart of that series is definitely Cole Hauser.
I agree.
Without Rip, there's no show. There's absolutely no show.
And he
He
plays such a classic western character. Like that would have been a John Wayne or a Clint Eastwood, or gosh, I'm trying to remember another great Western. I mean, there's so many great Western actors. Robert Mitchum. I mean, it could have he could have been any number of those kind of classic Hollywood men. Um, yeah, and it's kind of a shame. I think Yellowstone. I think Taylor Sheridan started stepping away from Yellowstone as far as the writing, and I think that's kind of what has happened is because I feel like the last season of Yellowstone kind of um, trailed off a
Yeah,
bit.
I don't, I never really believed about the part about Costner. I guess it was true though, but I guess the fact that he's trying to lessen his workload, like he's only doing 10 episodes per season, but I guess that was a little too much for, because he likes to work. And I guess that was too much. So he's trying to sit there and say, I gotta save my marriage because right now she's on me for working too much. And you think like it's only 10 episodes. How could that be too
Yeah,
much? But then they started doing more and more episodes because the show is more and more popular. That's a
sure.
catch. That's a catch 22. Let's see. Some catch up on the comments here.
I
Let's see.
noticed, and then someone else said. I noticed they said they would love to see me play Kyle Reese if they recasted Terminator. That would be an honor. But the first Terminator was so good. I mean, I just watched it. I just watched it a few weeks ago, and honestly, it's a perfect movie. I don't think that's a movie I don't think should ever be touched.
No,
Just like Jaws, just like The Lost Boys. That's another movie I would have loved to have been in. The Lost Boys. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. Um, it's just like the quintessential '80s movie. Um, but
I
yeah, I
agree.
mean,
Well, I'll tell you what's funny. It's funny. It's like sometimes you get really lucky, and we're talking about the Western.
mhm,
And of course, Michael Biehn has done a lot of westerns.
yes,
He's done he did Tombstone obviously, but he also did a TV series called The Magnificent Seven. They
oh
made
yeah,
a series out of that.
sure.
And it only ran for 26 episodes, but it was so cool. The show was so cool. It just was out at the wrong time.
I
But
love Michael Biehn. Michael Bihn's great. He's a great
he is
actor.
great. And he's a great human being. And so I always sit there going like, man, if I ever got a chance to talk to him, and I would ask him about because everybody asks him about Terminator, and it's like to me, I just got to ask you a question about the Magnificent Seven, and so I actually got blessed enough to ask him about it, and he goes, oh my, you see his whole face light up, and we're because I said, what about that show there? I mean, he goes, that was the biggest disappointment of my career. He says that show did not work because I absolutely love playing the role. Either that I have so much fun doing that series. And it was an old fashioned series. The Magnificent Seven had Ron Perlman, Michael Biehn, Eric Close. Just a great show, but it was only on for, like I said, 26 episodes. But yeah, Kyle Reese, I guess if they did it, if they just, I don't know. I think they should just leave the Terminator series alone for a while and let it
I
rest.
agree. I agree.
Uh,
It's such a good series. And I know they tried to remake The Lost Boys um, recently, but that didn't happen. And I was happy about that. I just don't want to see that movie really touched. It's one of those films that it's so '80s, and it understands the genre and it understands the time period. It's like you go back and watch it. I can watch that movie anytime, and I just enjoy it. Um, I just don't ever want to see that movie remade because it's going to miss the magic. Um, it's like remaking the Goonies. You can't remake the Goonies because you're going to miss the magic that was the Goonies. Um,
when you watch movies like that now,
mhm.
do you watch it still as a fan, or do you watch it both as a fan and as a working actor?
I watch it as a fan. Like um, I just I'm very imaginative, and I still, when I watch movies, I like to just get lost in them. I like to try to just get lost in the story and the atmosphere, and like I went and saw they played The Lost Boys Halloween week in the theaters this past year, and I went to like a very late showing, and I was the only person in the theater,
I love that.
and I just absolutely loved it. I just got so lost in just the whole atmosphere of that film. Um, and I love that about those old films. It's I say old films, it's only 80s, but like you watch those films, there's a magic to those movies. Terminator and Lost Boys and Tombstone, and the list goes on and on. But you watch these movies, and it is an imaginative escape, and I just love that.
Let me ask you a question because we were talking about this yesterday. Do you
Mhm.
feel like if you're going to remake a movie, that at least 75% of the cast should be actually be gone before you do it? Like if you're going to remake a movie where there's a 10-member cast,
Mhm.
instead of remaking the movie, like to me, whenever you make a movie, you're sitting there like a Godfather or a Rocky or anything else like that. You're making the movie, and to me, it's like it's a perfect movie, but you're
Mhm.
going to remake it. And to me, it's almost like telling the other actors, like, yeah, we didn't think you did well enough. We're going to go ahead and try to improve on that when you really can't.
No.
I mean, I just feel sort of like if you're gonna do a reboot, a remake or whatever, at least wait until they're till they're gone. It's like I just feel sort of insulting for them. Like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna redo The Godfather. So you're gonna go tell De Niro and Pacino and those guys that, yeah, we feel like we can improve on what your work did, even though your movie is considered, one of the top 100 movies of all time. We have the arrogance to come in here and try to do it better. Um,
Sure.
they did that with the Hellboy movie recently. They did that with the Hellboy movie.
Sure.
They cut out Guillermo del Toro and Ron Perlman,
Mhm.
and they put David Harbour in there. And they said, yeah, we can do better with David Harbour than we can with Ron Perlman. And yeah, that didn't work out so well. Um,
No, it didn't.
no. Do you feel some? I mean, is that a fair? I mean, is that a fair thing to say, or is that just fan talk that I'm doing here? As far as saying, like, if you're going to reboot a classic movie, at least wait till the previous filmmakers have passed on.
Well, I mean, I just think there's some movies that should not be touched. Like I know the studio has been trying to get Robert Zemeckis to either make more or reboot the Back to the Future series, and those should not be touched. I
No,
just I believe those movies should never be touched. And Robert Zemeckis, I think, understands that, and he says no. Like I'm not doing more of those movies, and I'm not remaking those movies. And luckily, he still has control of the IP, as far as I understand. So he has final say. Um, but I hope when I know he's not super old, so I hope he sticks around for a while. But hopefully he doesn't when he passes on. Hopefully the studios don't get control and just want to just remake or continue that without Michael J. Fox and without Doc. That's just not that's not Back to the Future, and
no.
um, I just don't want to see it done. They would, I don't know.
But
That's
let's just say, for argument's sake, though, Tyler, let's just say that Universal did get a hold of it, and they
sure.
said we are going to remake it. And your agent calls you, said, "Do you want me to submit you for this?" I mean, what do you say as an actor? Do you go ahead and try for that, knowing that it could break you? It can like make you a megastar like Michael Fox, or you sit there and say, not this one. I'll wait for the next one.
I mean, obviously, as an actor, if they reached out to you, you'd always be, grateful for an opportunity if they wanted you to read for it. But honestly, that franchise was such a big franchise in my childhood. Um, Marty McFly is always going to be Michael J. Fox. I'm sorry. It's just there's no one else that will ever be that role. And me personally, I think I think it would be it's not like see for me with the Batman movies, I think it's a little bit different when you get other actors taking on the Joker because there's been different Jokers in the comic books. So
Right.
there's been different renditions of the Joker, even though it's the same character. The Joker has been differently portrayed in different comic books. But when you've got a film series like Back to the Future, I just Marty McFly is Michael J. Fox, and I just I don't want to see anyone else play it. I don't want to see anyone else do that series. I just don't. I
No,
you know.
I'm with you. I'm with you. That was a tough question to ask you though, but I had to ask it because it's like,
Sure. Yeah.
what do you do? I mean, but there you go, everybody. Not only is Tyler, not only is he a leading man, but he also has ethics. That's a breath of fresh air.
Well, thank you.
Truly, truly a breath of fresh air. Um, but let's talk a little bit of horror films because I'm intrigued by the '80s angle. What were some of the horror films that you watched growing up that any of them give you any of them give you the willies, scare you,
Oh yeah.
scare the hell out of you?
Oh yeah.
Besides The Exorcist?
I mean, I remember um, the first horror movie that I remember watching that stuck with me for the rest of my life. And I don't know if that's subsequently also where I first saw and really liked Johnny Depp, but was Nightmare on Elm Street. Um, when I was a kid in it was middle school actually. I remember my friend was over, my parents went out, and it was just my older brother, my friend, and I, and they had a horror movie marathon on TV. It was like a week before Halloween, and my brother was like, "Let's watch Nightmare on Elm Street." And at the time, I didn't know what it was, and so I remember my friend and I we ordered. I still remember we ordered stuffed crust pizza.
Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah, and we, yeah, I still remember we ordered stuffed crust pizza. And you dip the crust in the sauce. Oh,
Yes.
so good. And I remember watching it, and I was so scared. Specifically of the scene where the kid was asleep in the jail cell, and then you see the bed sheet starts wrapping around his neck, and then it
Right.
hangs him. And I just remember that scene of being like, because I always had very vivid dreams, and then the idea of Freddy can get you in your sleep. I
Right. Right.
Oh my gosh, talk about a scary thing for a kid.
Man, I think the part that got me is when he's walking down the alleyway and his
Mhm.
arms got elongated. So he's
Oh
walking down the
yes,
hall screaming. That was the part that got me. I was like, holy shit.
yep.
Uh, uh, yeah, the Nightmare on Elm Street, especially the first one, classic. I mean, very rare can you just, very rare can you ever match up against something like that. I mean, Nightmare series was pretty strong. Did you enjoy the rest of the series as well, or did it sort of lose its pop as it went on?
I did. I actually did like the Dream Warriors. I thought that film was fun. I enjoyed that. Yeah, I did like that one. I mean, the first one always holds because it was the first horror movie I ever saw, and it's such a vivid memory for me. Like that will always be, so dear to my heart. Um, the other one, I really love the original Halloween. Um, I love The Fog. I saw The Fog as a kid. I just love a good ghost story, especially a pirate ghost story. Um, I loved Christine. I was actually just talking about Christine with one of my buddies today. Um, Such a fun movie.
What's funny? It's like someone actually showed a clip on Instagram, and they showed a clip from a movie I hadn't seen since I saw it. It was a movie called Nightmares, and in it they had a demon possessed truck. It was almost like and I remember seeing the picture and going like, oh my gosh, that was Lance Henriksen. That
Hmm.
that was Lance Henriksen. I remember that, and yeah, that was fun to see. I like the possession type movies, the Car or Killdozer or of course the most famous one of all to me, the one that just I like Christine. Don't get me wrong, Christine's great, but man, when it comes down to possessed cars, Duel is the one that gets me.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's Steven Spielberg. what is this? It was his first theatrical movie. It came out as a TV movie here, but they added some scenes to it, and they opened up it in Europe as a theatrical release. With that movie is still today. It is spooky. It's spooky as hell.
I can't
Um,
wait to watch it.
oh my gosh! Yeah, you come back and tell me what you think of it when you watch it.
I will.
Back. Yeah, that's for sure. Um, what are some of the roles that if you got a chance to play? I mean, rank them in order for me. Like, what genre would you like to work in first, second, third? Maybe like do a 3 or 4 genres that you want to take a crack at.
I would love to do. I would love to do a period western. Um, I would love to break into that realm. So westerns. I really loved doing Space Wars. I would love to do more sci-fi action. Um, you know, I love I love like classic horror, but I mean, you know what else I love? I would love to do a movie like Gladiator, or
Mm,
Braveheart, or
mm.
Patriot, um, or even like a Black Hawk Down, or a Saving Private Ryan. Um, any of those kind of big epic action dramas, I would love to do. Um,
I think that will come. I think that will come. I really do. You're actually getting ready for. Is this movie going to be coming out, or are you still making it? I wasn't quite 100% sure, but you're doing a film with an old friend of ours. You're working on a movie called Obscura,
yes.
and you're doing that for Joe Lujan.
Mhm.
We interviewed Joe Lujan on the Midnight Hour, and he's a fine director in his own right.
He's
Uh,
great.
can can you talk to us a little bit about Obscura, or is that still
Yeah,
still?
I can talk about Obscura for sure. So yeah, Obscura. We're done filming Obscura. At least principal photography. I think they were still adding in. I talked to the creative team, and I guess they added in a few pickup shots for editing purposes. But I guess the score is almost done. They're excuse me, they're almost done in post. So the film is very close to being finished, and that was a really fun character. And that was a sci-fi action thriller. And honestly, if you were to take Predator and Sons of Anarchy and put them together, that's what Obscura is.
Man, that's just right up our alley too.
I think
That's
you'll dig it.
fun. That's
Yeah.
fun. And you got to work with one of our favorite actors, the Mighty. And a lot of people don't even know who he is. It seems like the only people that know him are other actors, which is a real damn shame because he deserves so much more than that. And that is the mighty Robert Lasardo.
Yes. And what a
Uh,
what a great actor. Such
oh,
a committed and talented. I mean, he really loves the craft. He loves everything about what he does. Filmmaking, acting, he loves it all. And he's such a professional. He's so talented.
he really is.
Yeah.
I just, I talk about him. Probably should talk about him a little bit more, but he is an amazing actor. I mean, he elevates. He's an elevator to
Yes.
me. Like every time you see him in a movie, it could be a low budget movie, but you get Robert Lasardo in there, and that movie elevates it because the level of talent, the talent, and commitment. If for you have to match him. If you're not on your game and you walk in there, you do a scene with him, and you're not there,
Hmm.
you're gonna come. It's not gonna be. It's not. It doesn't come out good. It doesn't come out well. You notice how good he is, and then unfortunately for the other person, if they're not really on top of their game, it sort of shows that they're not ready. They're not equal to that because he is a firebrand. I mean, he's one of the most talented actors I've ever seen.
He's
Um,
so good. He's a dear friend of mine. We've done a few movies together, and just a great just a great guy. He's been a true friend to me, and I have nothing but just great things to say about Robert, and as a friend and as a professional. I mean, working opposite him is always a treat, because whatever Robert brings is going to be great, and he's going to elevate you. He's going to elevate the scene. And for me, I love working opposite actors like that challenge you creatively, because it's like you really feed off each other, and it brings you up when you have a guy of that caliber. Yeah, he's great.
Um, is it hard to maintain friendships in Hollywood?
Um, the one thing about Hollywood that I always say, is, because people jump from job to job to job to job all the time. It's like you do a movie and you become so close, and then all of a sudden everyone disbands and they all go a bunch of different directions. And sometimes you work with them again, sometimes you don't. And it's just like I've had friends that I got so close with on a movie, and then you just get so busy doing other stuff, other projects, and it's just like it's a shame that sometimes you work with someone and you don't get to work with them again, or you don't see them again for a long time, and you try to keep in touch, but I think that's an aspect that's kind of hard. Um, Sometimes keeping in touch with other actors is people are just always being pulled in different directions, and they're here and they're there and they're traveling here, and it's busy.
I'm looking over here at the chat. Let me get over here real quick. I think I saw some people talking about some other movies here. Where are they? I think they're talking about Django. Yeah, someone asked. Someone asked, what was your opinion about the Hateful Eight?
Oh, Hateful Eight. I mean, I thought, I appreciated it. You know what it felt like to me? And even the way they had the intermissions, it reminded me of watching a stage play, because it was one location. I felt like I was watching a stage play that was filmed. Uh, and coming from like theater, I loved it. I thought I was watching a really, really well produced stage play. And yeah, it was cool. It was like one of those dinner theater, like a very high end dinner theater show, and I loved it. Especially a lot of the old dinner theater shows were westerns.
Right, that's
Um,
right. Yes.
and
Yeah,
that's
and they
Yeah,
do the and they do the now they have now that they do those dinner ones, they have like the mysteries.
yes,
Yeah, I've never been to one of those. I heard they're a lot of fun, and a lot of good actors. A lot of local actors actually will do those things to as as to like they can't get on a they can't do a theater play, or they don't have the time or whatever to commit to that. So they'll do like a dinner theater. I don't know. Oh, they actually might be cutting my grass.
oh,
I think he's cutting my grass. Um, because I heard the noise. I'm going like, "What's really, really loud?" And I look outside, and it's like, they're cutting my grass." Yeah, I was gonna say that'd be a lot of fun. Would you ever try to do something like that? If someone came up there and said, "Hey, how would you like to do like a dinner theater mystery just for fun?" I mean, not all the time, but just to come out there and hang out and do it. Would that be something you would do?
yeah. I think that would be a lot of fun. I mean, it's coming from having some theater background. Yeah, um, I think that would be a lot of fun, especially sometimes you get to interact with the audience too, which is really fun with the dinner theater. Um, some of the shows I went to, the talent really kind of interacts with the audience sometimes, which breaking that fourth wall is really fun. I think it would be a fun experience, honestly, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed that movie. Was I felt like I was watching a Western dinner theater performance, obviously with Kurt Russell and some other great actors. Um, but yeah, no, that was fun. Yeah, I think that would be fun to do like a dinner theater show.
How do you prepare for when you go do a role? Does it depend on which film type of genre it does? But what's your general preparation like for a role? What do you do before you get to, once you accept the role? What's your process to get ready for it?
I have a pretty extensive process actually. Um, I can take you through a little crash course of it.
Sure.
Uh, so when I first look at the script, I read the script, and as I start reading it, I start visualizing it and reading it out loud, and adding in more adjectives, describing in detail of what I'm actually seeing, as if I'm like watching it play out word by word in my mind. Um, and then when I get to the characters, I in my mind envision who I would cast as those characters, so I can get energetically and visually an interpretation of who is playing those roles, or who I see playing them. And then from there, I get into the atmosphere. It's what is the atmosphere like? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What is it, all these different things of what might this atmosphere be like in this specific scene. And as I'm going through, I break it down that way. Then I break it down. What is the color energetically of the character? Like what color represents the energy of the character? Is it like a bright yellow? Is it a dark yellow? Is it a dark blue? Is it a light blue? Is it a green? What shade of it? It kind of gives you an idea of what the energy is. It vibrant? Is it dark? Is it when you think of these different colors, sometimes you get an idea of what might that look and feel like. And then I look at the element. Is this character earth, water, um, fire, air? So if it would be like earth, he could be like mud, or he could be lava. If he was air, he could be a breeze, or it could be a hurricane. If he was water, he could be, small waves, or it could be a tidal wave. Um,
Hmm.
Fire, he could be a candle flame, or he could be, a brush fire. So it's finding that energy and how that builds through that element. Um, and then finally I get to what is the intention of that character. um, what is that character doing in this given time? What is he actively doing? Is he trying to intimidate the other character or other characters? Is he trying to mystify? Is he trying to seduce? um, so it's all these different things come into play in a scene for me. Is how would I describe in depth who this character is? What's their energy like? How is their and then like a psychological gesture within that character? How do they move? Um, so if you were to describe that character, if they're depressed, what does depression look like physically? How does that look? And that helps you find um, the physicality of the character, how that character might move,
Now, do
how
you
they
make
hold.
notes on the side of your script when you're doing this? Do you make notes to yourself?
Usually my scripts are the margins are just full of notes. Um, and it's sometimes I write questions. I'll write a question. What is his intention? What is his color? Um, what is he embodying? And then I'll start thinking about this. I'll start visualizing it, and then I start to figure that out. And it's helpful because with the visualizations and with all this, like that was very helpful with Wade, because I would put notes based on where in the script he was. It might be a different shade of color for his energy. It would be a different intention. Um, he would be embodying something different depending on what part of the script he was in. So
What color was he when you saw him in your mind's eye? What color was he?
Wade was like a purple. Um, and so if you think about purple, purple can be vibrant, but purple can also be very dark.
Yes. Yes.
And I also thought of who's another character that was also very vibrant but very dark that was associated with purple.
Hmm.
The Joker.
Oh, yeah.
He always
Yeah.
wore purple suits. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. I'm like, who's another guy who his smile could either represent pain or it could represent laughter. And I thought Wade was a lot of the same. Wade was, you really didn't know. Wade had a very deep backstory to me. Wade had survived Jariba, which was a prisoner planet, and he rose up. He went through a lot. He killed his mom at a young age, as what we talked about in the monologue that I had,
Right.
and I was building that backstory of Wade. Wade is from this prisoner planet, and he was brought out as a prisoner, and he became a smuggler who eventually became, a mercenary for hire, and he'd went through a lot, and I didn't want him just to be a strict villain, um, because if we look at
No,
if we
and
look
you,
at villains,
yeah. I
villains
mean, you, there
never.
was definitely there was definitely some. I'm sorry. There's definitely some wiggle room. There was definitely. I mean, you didn't know 100% until he made the one gesture that cemented it. Up to that point,
Mhm.
you didn't know. You were waiting for him to, like I said, when you're sitting there, you're waiting for him to turn. And even though he had a chance earlier to turn, it looked like maybe he did, but then he didn't. But then and then again, you back on the planet, and then you have one last chance for redemption. And then will he take it or will he not? And you don't know all the way to the end. You really don't know until he makes this move that there's no irredeeming him. There's no redeeming the character. He is who he is. It's like a scorpion. It's like that old story, Scorpion, take me across the river, and but he stings you because
Sure,
that's what he does.
sure.
Um, you're right. It's not a black and white portrayal. There was definitely a lot of color in there for sure.
Yeah, he's and you know as the character went on, and the work with him, finding out where he was through his journey through that film, it was finding that backstory, like why was Wade like that? Why what drove him to be like this? And obviously we knew about the mom, but more so than that, like what did he have to go through in Jariba growing up? Um, what did he have to do to survive, and what did he have to do to get where he was within um, this mercenary crew? Um, and obviously, um, when Mr. Gruner said, um, when he was saying, when Dykstra said in one of the scenes, he goes, "Oh, I won't hurt her, but I can't say the same about my friend here." And he
Right,
pointed to me, and it's for Wade to get to the point where he could administer violence so easily and without any remorse, it's finding what did he go through. What did Wade go through in his journey to get to that point? What makes a person like this? And it was for me understanding that Wade is a person, um, because the other thing is with villains, and this is true in life. Um, Villains don't get up in the morning and say, "I'm a villain."
right,
They think that what they're doing is justified. And I think if you go through history, you see that every villain, whether fictional or non-fictional, always believes that what they're doing is right and is justified. And it's finding that within a character, because it makes a character, especially a villain, more interesting if there is that dynamic of, um, he doesn't think that what he's doing is wrong. He doesn't think he's a bad guy. Um, he might do bad things, but there's always a reason internally why he does it.
right. That's right. Let's see. Snow's mentioning. Says Snow said that the only movies she's ever watched of Kevin Costner is Mr. Brooks. Let's see. Now he says Mr. Brooks features the bad guy's alter ego chewing gum. Originally, Demi Moore saw her character chewing gum and decided to throw a wad of gum violently out her window, discarding her own shadow. I still got to watch that movie. I heard it's really good.
Mhm.
Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, Gen X forever. Uh, so what's next for you now? I mean, what are you going to be working on? What are you going to be working on now? Or are you going to be waiting for any pickups for Obscura, or are you moving on to the next project?
As far as I know, I'm wrapped. I'm all done with Obscura. We're just waiting for the film to lock, and then for the distribution to take place. Um, and then there's another film that I did that's still in some post right now. It was called The Squad. Um, we had a screening of it in Houston, and then a screening of it in Florida, and it's based on a true story. It's based on the Chicano Squad of the 70s, 80s, 90s, and up to 2010. It was formed in '79 in Houston, and it was a young group of Latin undercover cops that were. This unit was formed to infiltrate the cartels, and I played one of the undercover cops in the squad, a real guy. His name was Detective Munoz, and Detective Munoz ends up getting too deep undercover and becomes an actual faction within the cartel, and gets busted by the DEA. And it's a true story. It happened, and so it was kind of cool to play that guy. That actually, true story. It actually happened. So
Yeah, there's actually a cartel that actually started off as a group of army soldiers and Mexican army soldiers. They were going there to move against the cartels, and then once they got in there, they saw all the money and decided to form their own cartel. And all the members were all ex-military.
sure.
Brutal, brutal. Um, let's see. Let's see. Okay. Oh, they're talking among each other. You're only as old as the people. You're only as old as the people you feel. Oh, I love George Burns. Um, yeah, that's with Robert Lasardo too, right? The Squad.
Yes,
So they
Robertson.
get him.
Yeah, he's in that too.
Who's directing that one?
That's Juan Vasquez out of
Okay.
Houston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now are you now have you now that movie's gonna I mean that movie's already playing. So and I saw that you're doing and I noticed this on here. Maybe you could talk just a little bit on this before we let you go because I see this here and I'm really curious. Um, you're doing a film of a fan film of an X-Men. Would you want to do any of those? Would you jump on a chance to do a DC or an MCU type of movie?
Oh, absolutely. I grew up reading comic books, and I love comics. Some of my favorite characters, I love Venom. Venom is probably my favorite, followed by Ghost Rider, followed by Carnage. Um, Up there is also Spawn. I love Spawn. I loved Morbius. Um,
Yes, me too.
yeah, I
Morley is
just
one of my
such
favorite.
good characters.
Snow says that you would be a great Gambit. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I would love to play Gambit.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope they. Yeah, that's a good. That's actually a really good idea. Wow, you're doing the X-Men, the fan film, right? Children of the Atom. How
Yeah.
did you get? How'd you get attached to that?
So they actually reached out to me, and yeah, they reached out and said they wanted me to play Grey Claw. Um, so yeah, it's cool. You know, I love X Men. Like I said, I love Wolverine. I love Wolverine was one of my favorites. I love Gambit. I love Sabretooth.
Yeah,
Um, or I'm trying to think.
I was a big Alpha Flight guy.
Okay, okay,
Vindicator, Sasquatch, Puck.
okay.
Yeah. As far as my Marvel heroes go, it's why it drives me crazy about Guardians of the Galaxy because one of my favorite heroes is Starhawk or
Mhm.
Starhawk, uh, Jack of Hearts. Um, that's probably my favorite one, and then Moon Knight, which actually got
Yeah,
made into a series. I haven't seen it
sure.
yet, but I was glad to see that he did get made, so I have hope. And of course, my favorite Marvel hero is Stingray, which I'm hoping that he'll. I was hoping he would be involved in Armor Wars, but I guess they quit doing that, so I'm not sure what's going to happen to him.
Sure.
Um, Yeah, but that's a great though. You get a chance. See. Oh, now everybody's mentioning superheroes. They want to see. They want to see. Let's see. They want to. They want you to play Johnny Blaze. Yeah. See that happen. Johnny Blaze, definitely.
I would love to play
Yeah,
Johnny
they can make that
Blaze.
happen. Yeah, I could part of what you guys can do too, if you guys are really serious about this, this is something you guys can do, and that is you can do the old-fashioned thing. That is, you can write to Marvel or DC, and you can write the name of your actor and the roles you'd like to see him play. Believe it or not, they do read those letters. They do. They have what is it called? I think it's called a Q list, right?
Hmm.
Where uh, based on the public's perception, their favorite actors, that's how a lot of movies get cast because people really like the actor. So if you sit there and you write in, we'd like to see Tyler Gallant as Gambit, or Johnny Blaze, and you write that and you get people to write with you, that could actually throw some influence into some of the casting choices. So if you guys see this happen, pick up your pen and paper or send them an email and tell them what you're telling us here. Let them know this is, like if you're going to do another ghostwriter, we'd like to suggest and we would support casting Tyler Gallant and as Johnny Blaze.
I mean, that would be amazing. I mean, I've Johnny Blaze would be so incredible. Another character I actually was in the mix for. This was a number of years back, but I'm sure you guys would remember this. But I was in the mix for the remake of The Crow, um,
Um,
and I was in that final five mix of actors they were throwing around, and that would have been that would have been cool. I mean, I loved The Crow. I read the comic books growing up. I mean, obviously Brandon Lee, what he did was incredible, and such a tragic end. Um, and ultimately, I think they're making the film, but I think they're making with Skarsgård. I think Bill. I think
uh,
Bill Skarsgård is playing Draven. Uh,
really? Mm,
yeah,
I'm not. I don't really feel sure he could fit that between
yeah,
you, between
no,
you and me. I don't really see him doing that. I, yeah. But I did like the. I did. Yeah, he seems a little bit. I'm gonna say, honestly, I could be wrong about this, but I think isn't he sort of a taller actor? Isn't he like over 6 feet?
yeah. He's almost 6'5".
Yeah. See, that's not the Crow. The Crow was actually a smaller man. He was like, you know, he was like, and it's in the comics too. You see that he was a musician. You don't see too many 6'5" musicians. You see a lot of 5'11", 6'1", that type of deal. That sort of
Sure,
thing.
sure.
And Brandon Lee was he was a small man. He was like 5'9", 5'10", and you see him at that. It's sort of like the opposite of when Tom Cruise played Jack Reacher. Like he
Yes,
played a great Reacher, but you just couldn't help but notice that he was not physically up to it. Sort of reverse. I mean, you see him and you go like, yeah, he's too big to play the Crow. Um, but hopefully somewhere down the line, this will happen for you. I mean, I do believe this on my heart. I do believe that you will break. We've seen some of these people come on here and watch their careers go, and there's nothing more fun for me, and hopefully the audience at the chat here, also watching your star rise. I will put all your description down below. You have a massive Instagram following. You have over 430,000 people. Do you write to them every day?
I mean, I try to stay pretty connected with everyone. I always try to respond, and because like I said, I'm very grateful for anyone that supports me, because it's as an artist.
435,000 people are sitting there. They're supporting you. That's pretty massive. That's really massive.
Thank you.
That is crazy. I was like, holy crow. That's he's got an army behind him. How hard is it for you to maintain your social media presence when you have that many followers? I mean, the the pull on your time must be formidable. Do you do all your own social media work, or do you have people to help you?
I do have a few people that do help me. So I mean, that's very helpful, because sometimes it does, it does take a lot. But I really do. Like I said, I'm very grateful for anyone who supports me, because honestly, as an artist, it's like without the people to support you, you know you can't do what you love. So uh,
Right.
that's really what it comes down to, is um, just being grateful that my fans allow me to actually do what I love to do. So
And with that, Tyler, I think our time has come to an end. I want to thank you so much for coming out and hanging out with us. I want to thank the chat very, very much for coming out here and hanging out with us as well. It's been absolutely a blast and a joy to have you here. We hope that you'll want to come back and visit us again sometime soon. Uh,
absolutely.
and again, to you guys out in the chat, thank you so much for your engagement and interaction. The show would not be a show without you. Make no mistake about that. Um, we will be back here the day after tomorrow. We'll be talking with actor Simon Shee. Will be here with us, and he will be starring in the new movie Malcolm, which was directed and written by our own Chadwick Whitmere, and that will be coming out in October on Tubi. So he'll be here and on Wednesday, and then on Thursday we have the lovely Melanie Gretchen will be here with us at 8 o'clock. Yes, thank you. Everybody saying thank you. Tyler's the absolutely best. Everybody saying thank you for coming in tonight. Thank you. Yes, thank you for coming in.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate your guys' support. So thank you.
This is a lot of fun. This is a lot of fun. All right, boys and girls, enjoy the 4th. Be safe. Tyler, you stay right where you're at for a minute. To the chat, I'm going to say good night, and we will see you on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.